He crossed the finish line first, and then his body slipped from the saddle. On June 4th, 1923, Frank Hayes won a horse race. He was already dead when he crossed the wire. Here's what they leave out. Frank Hayes was already dying before the starting gates opened. In 1923, at Belmont Park, a 22-year-old stable hand shed the last 10 pounds in 24 hours. What he did to his body in those final days killed him. The race just happened to be where the bill came due. Frank Hayes was nobody. Not a star, not a name. He'd never won a single sanctioned race in his life. Born in Ireland, Hayes worked as a stableman for a horse owner named James K. Frayling. His life was horses. Understanding the animals not from the glory of the saddle, but from the quiet grind before sunrise. And he was 142 pounds. The race required 130. The clock was already ticking. For years, Hayes harbored a secret ambition. He wanted to ride. And in Sweet Kiss, a long shot belonging to Miss A.M. Frayling, he saw his chance. He pleaded with James Frayling. He knew the horse better than anyone, he argued. Frayling relented, but a 142 pounds meant 12 had to go, in a matter of days, not weeks. So what happens when a desperate man tries to shed 12 pounds with no water, no food, and no time? Most people think Frank Hayes' story is about a freak accident. That's wrong. What followed wasn't a diet. It was a slow surrender. Every meal grew smaller. One newspaper wrote that what he ate would scarcely have sufficed for an anchorite, someone who survives on little more than fasting. He wasn't trying to get healthier. He was trying to make weight. And a century ago, that kind of desperation could become a death sentence. Here's what happens when you deny your body water. The blood thickens. The heart works exponentially harder. Electrolyte levels plummet. The heart's natural rhythm begins to fail. Medical experts reviewing the case agree. This was the primary factor in his death. The Buffalo Morning Express reported Hayes shed the last 10 pounds in the final 24 hours, jogging for hours that morning, denying himself any water. 10 pounds, 24 hours, no water. When he finally stepped on the scales, he'd done it. 130 pounds. A gaunt, depleted version of himself, eligible to ride. He pulled on Miss Frayling's racing silks. His heart was already under catastrophic strain. He wasn't just excited. He was a man whose body had been pushed past its absolute limits before the race even began. And the race hadn't started yet. The air at Belmont Park on June 4th, 1923 was electric. A steeplechase, a grueling 2-mile run over numerous fences. Sweet Kiss and her unknown rider were a footnote on the day's card. But when the gates opened, something shifted. Hayes guided the mare with surprising skill, clearing each jump, moving through the pack. They weren't just participating. They were in contention. Rounding the final bend, they challenged the leaders. In the final stretch, Hayes urged Sweet Kiss forward. She responded. The unknown stableman and his mare pulled ahead. It was in this moment, as his dream became reality, that Frank Hayes' body gave its final protest. His heart, already under catastrophic strain from days of dehydration, simply stopped. As Sweet Kiss leaped the last barrier and straightened for the run to the wire, Hayes was seen swaying. His body slipped to one side. He recovered, then slumped forward again. No one in the roaring crowd noticed. To the spectators, it looked like he was leaning low, urging his horse on. He was dead, but he hadn't fallen, and Sweet Kiss, the loyal mare beneath him, just kept running. With her jockey now a lifeless weight on her back, she powered toward the wire. She won by a head. Sweet Kiss crossed the line a winner. And then, 100 yards beyond the finish near the judges' stand, Frank Hayes slipped slowly over his mount's side, fell face downward, and lay still. The crowd that had been celebrating moments before fell into confusion. Race officials pushed through the crowd. What they found was not a triumphant young man. They thought he'd fainted. The strain of the race, the emotion of the moment. Then the track physician, Dr. John A. Voorhees, made the official declaration. Frank Hayes was dead. Heart failure. The man who crossed the finish line a winner had been dead when he did so. Frank Hayes had achieved his lifelong dream. He had won at Belmont Park, but he never lived to see it. In the aftermath, race officials faced a question no rulebook had ever anticipated. What do you do when the winning jockey is dead? According to the rules, a victory isn't official until the jockey weighs in after the race. A formality, but a crucial one. Frank Hayes couldn't be weighed. By the strict letter of the law, the win could have been stripped away. But to overturn the result would have felt profoundly disrespectful to a man who had literally given his life for that victory. The Belmont Jockey Club unanimously agreed to waive all post-race formalities. The victory would stand. Frank Hayes was officially declared the winner. It has never happened before. It has never happened since. And the Guinness World Record still lists it as the only documented case in history. Frank Hayes was buried 3 days later at Holy Cross Cemetery in Brooklyn. His name is still in the record books. Not for a long career, not for championships, for a single impossible afternoon when his body gave out, and his dream refused to. Until next time, keep looking beyond the obvious.